There are 5 key skills emotionally numb men were never taught. Learning these took me from 2 decades of feeling nothing to actually being alive and excited again. In this video, I'll share these 5 skills identified by Yale University and how you can start building them today. I've also made a free quiz that helps you understand this emotional numbness from its very roots of your childhood. Do check it out below. Before I share the skills, let me share why EQ even matters. 6 years ago, my life felt completely empty, boring, and flat. Everything I did was a part of my routine, things I had to do, not wanted to do proactively. The weird thing is, it wasn't like I was sad or depressed, but I always felt indifferent, like nothing really mattered. Most of what excited other people, sports, socializing, hobbies, felt okayish at best. There weren't a lot of things that would uplift or excite me, but interestingly, I didn't feel a lot of unpleasant emotions like sorrow or hurt either. In other words, I was emotionally numb. The range of my emotions was very limited. I didn't know it back then, but all this stemmed from low EQ. EQ, or emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, is defined as your ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions. Low emotional intelligence is what caused my life to feel bland. Because if you think about it, emotions are like your taste buds. They add flavor to your life. You try a new hobby like dancing. How do you know you like it or hate it? By how it makes you feel. When I felt nothing, no matter what I tried, everything felt the same, bland. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. Not only did low EQ cause my life to feel empty, it also led to terrible social skills. Because I didn't feel anything myself, I wasn't able to understand others' emotions and connect with them. I was low on motivation and procrastinated most of the time, which back then I thought was because I was lazy and I just had to try harder with more willpower to get things done. But later I discovered some very validating research which said procrastination isn't really a problem of laziness, but rather emotional management. I also had no purpose in life. It felt like I was living on autopilot, going aimlessly wherever life takes me. And I didn't know it back then, but it also impacted my income. Research shows the single most definitive predictor of income is not IQ, rather EQ. In a study of over 42,000 people, every point increase in EQ corresponded with $1,300 of increase in annual salary. Now take a moment to think about to what extent is low EQ impacting your life, your happiness levels, your ability to connect with people, help your loved ones, and the chances of you achieving your goals, what you want for your life. But there's a good news. Unlike IQ, which remains constant throughout a person's life, more or less, EQ can be increased drastically. And when I built my EQ, all areas of my life prospered, even the ones I didn't expect to be connected to emotions in any way. That is why I believe emotional mastery is the foundational skill for a life well lived, and why every man must build EQ using the following 5 tools. A group of researchers in the Center for Emotional Intelligence in Yale University looked at different researchers on the psychology and neuroscience of emotions for over 20 years in order to develop a groundbreaking approach for developing emotional skills. They came up with a 5-step framework which goes by the acronym of RULER. Let me explain each of these for you. The first R stands for recognizing what you're feeling. This includes noticing what you're feeling in the moment, not just intellectually, but also in your body. I can't remember the times I've asked my male clients, how did blank or how did dash make you feel? Or how does that feel like in your body? And they stare at me like I've asked them to solve the most difficult algebra question. What? Most men don't know this, but emotions are not just a mental phenomena, but are experienced in the body as felt sensations. I was so numb and disconnected from my body that it took years for me to develop the skill of recognizing emotions here, but it was well worth it. I'll share how you can do that in much less time in a bit, but the U in RULER stands for understanding. That is understanding what triggered the emotion and why. For example, I often get cranky at home because this YouTube channel is not getting views, but I understand the trigger for that anger is not really my mother, but this. The L stands for labeling the emotion using specific words. It's the difference between vague labeling like I feel shitty versus good one like I feel petrified because of a coming meeting. This one's very specific. E is expression, which is appropriate and healthy. Lashing out on my family would still be expression, but unhealthy and low EQ. Healthy expression would look like journaling about what work is stressing me out and addressing that. The final R stands for regulate. That is when I'd use tools and strategies like breathwork, mindfulness, journaling to manage stress of work effectively as opposed to being reactive at home and at the mercy of my emotions. Building these 5 skills is not only what reduced my numbness a lot, but as I got to understand my emotions, that helped me become more self-aware, which allowed me to discover my purpose, which in turn exploded my motivation levels. Because I understood my emotions, I built empathy and developed deeper, more meaningful relationships. And most importantly, the beautiful, pleasant emotions returned. I became happier, alive, and excited about life. But how does one even build these skills? Here's the best and the easiest way to build Ruler. I've personally been using this tool for around 3 years now. I love it so much that I suggest it to every single client of mine and the people I love because of how effective it is. The best part is it's free, accessible to everyone, and takes only 30 seconds at a time. It's this app developed by this same group of researchers who developed Ruler, and it's called How We Feel. Let me walk you through how it helps you develop each of these 5 skills. As soon as you open up the app, it asks you the classic question, how are you feeling? There are 4 options to choose from: high energy, pleasant, high energy, unpleasant, low energy, pleasant, low energy, unpleasant. This immediately helps you recognize what you're feeling in the moment, which is the first R of Ruler. Also notice how it doesn't call the emotions negative or positive, rather unpleasant and pleasant. This helps you undo the notion that certain emotions are good versus others are bad. When you click on any one of these, it opens up into several bubbles so that now you can become more specific on what exactly is that you feel. This helps you with the label of Ruler. Then there is also place for you to figure out what caused this emotion by journaling and noticing patterns. This is the U or understand of Ruler. You also can rant here, which would be healthy expression by journaling. And my favorite feature of all, there's this place for you to figure out where exactly in your body you feel the emotion. This goes further deep into recognizing the emotion. And after all this, the app also has simple but really effective ways to regulate your emotions, ranging from breath to sound patterns, movements, mindfulness, creative expressions, and so on. Essentially, this app is an entire package to build your EQ through the science-backed steps of Ruler. When I suggest this app to my clients, I encourage them to use it as much as possible. That is how I use it even till date. I can't emphasize on devoting 5 minutes scattered across your day to use it because it's as simple as this. The degree to which your EQ increases is the degree to which your numbness will reduce. And the more you use the app, the more your EQ will develop. The way I stay consistent with this app is by using this home screen widget. Every time I use my phone for escapist purposes like social media, the condition I've kept for myself is first take 30 seconds to check in with your feelings. After that, you're free to proceed with whatever you wanted to do. This becomes a very reliable way for me to build my EQ because we all check our phones multiple times a day. At least I do. Also, whenever I'm not feeling the best and I want to figure out what exactly is it that I'm feeling, the app helps me understand it. And despite using the app for so long, there are still many words out of my emotional vocabulary like disgruntled or irate. But building your EQ is just one of the 8 most effective steps I use to permanently overcome numbness. So if you want to do that as well, click here to watch this entire system I made for men to heal numbness once and for all.